Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough. Am I audible? Maybe someone can just confirm that I'm audible. Okay. So welcome this beautiful Saturday morning. Would like to welcome you to the Crossroads Info Session by Lapid Leaders Africa. My name is Faith Omwaga, and I'm serving here as the programs officer, and I'll be supporting you throughout your recruitment process. And today, I'll be your host for this info session. So before we begin, I'd like us to begin with a word of prayer, and I'd like to welcome Faith Waidera to pray for us.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for the state of my camera. Just a few issues with my computer, but let's pray. Dear Lord, we come before you. Thank you for this day. We thank you for helping us to gather here this morning. And as we start this session, we pray that you may guide us all through. And even for the ones who haven't joined, Father, please help them to also join. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Faith. Thank you. And once again, everyone, I'd like to welcome you to this session. So before we begin, I'd like us maybe to, Johnston, please mute your microphone. Yes. So before we begin, I'd like us to just get into a small interactive session. Maybe we can just have just one person say hi to us. They can tell us their name, what they do, and maybe what they look forward to this session before we can proceed to the next exercise. Anyone? Anyone to say hi to us before we proceed, just to represent the rest of the people? Nicholas, would you want to say hi to us?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I'm Nicholas. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
So I'm Nicholas Waiter. Previously, I've been an accountant, and currently I'm an auditor with over 3 years experience. And I'm an alumni to the University of Nairobi. That's where I heard about the Crossroad program. I read through. I was excited, and then
I think he's having an internet issue.
services, consultancies, tax, any laws, whether it's for Kenya or those clients which are even based in outside Kenya. So for us, we lead teams, and this program, it's going to really assist me because it's about leadership and career growth. So I'm glad to join the team. I'll be looking forward to learning from everyone. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Thank you for opening us for us with that introduction. We really appreciate. So next, I'd like for us to do a small exercise just to ease up as well as get to know each and every one of you better. But for the responses we're going to get, they are extremely anonymous. We won't know where they're coming from. So it's just a small survey, and I'd request Faith to share the link in the chat box. Faith, you ready with the link? So I've shared a link in the chat box. So I'd request for maybe each and every one of you to click on it so that we can be able to start on this small exercise. So once you click on the link, this is the first thing you're supposed to be seeing. Supposed to see, welcome to the Crossroads Info Session Survey. Maybe once we are there, you can be able to confirm.
So we need to be able to tell if everybody has logged into that page. So once you do, please put up an emoji indicating that you've already entered. We can only see 2 people inside it, and we'd like to be able to get feedback from everybody here. And that means you click on the chat room, in the link on the chat room, it will take you to a page. That's what Faith is showing on the screen. If you're struggling with that, just indicate as that. But if you've also gotten into it, just put up an emoji so that Faith is able to proceed. Thank you, Eugene, for that feedback. I don't know if the rest of us have been able to log in. Johnston, Kennedy, Regina, can you give us some sort of give us some sort of feedback so we know whether you're on track? So the point is you click on the link on the chat room. Faith, can you check on your end if you've gotten the responses of most people if they're online?
Not yet so far. I've just seen the one from Eugene.
On your end, on Mentimeter, you can be able to tell how many people you have. How many do you have so far?
I have 2 people.
Okay. Johnston, are you able to just tell us if you're on track? It will also help us to know who is here.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Have you been able to click on the link? Thank you, Regina, for the feedback. Kennedy Kinyanjui, are you online?
Yes, I'm here. I think I have clicked the link and I'm in.
All right. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay.
White, are you in?
Yes, I'm in.
All right. Thank you. Faith, you can proceed.
Okay, so our first question would be, where are you joining today's session from? So you can just be able to type where you're joining the session from, then we can be able to proceed. We take like 5 seconds to do that, then we can be able to proceed. So where are you joining today's session from? And see, we have 3 responses. We have Nairobi, Nairobi, Nairobi. Can have 3 more, then we can be able to proceed. You can see most of us are joining from Nairobi, Nairobi. One final one. Githurai. We have one from Githurai, which is also under Nairobi. Thank you so much for that. So we can be able to proceed to the next question, which is, what is the one thing you're looking forward in the session today? What is the one thing you're looking forward to in this session today? So you can just type your answer the way we just did on the first one. We have someone saying they're waiting to hear from everyone. Keep the responses coming. Someone says they'd love to learn about the Crossroads, which is actually our main objective for this session today, getting to ensure you get all the details you need before you proceed with your recruitment process of the Crossroads. We can have 2 more responses, then we can proceed. To learn about Crossroads, learning about Crossroads. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I can see that we all have the same objective today, which is just to get to learn more about the Crossroads. Then our next question would be, what is the biggest challenge you face in the workplace? What is the biggest challenge you face? You might be facing it currently, or it's something you've also faced in the past. Would love to hear that. So what is the biggest challenge you face in the workplace? Welcome, Getembe. Welcome so much to the session. We are just doing a small exercise, which is like a small survey. I'll reshare the link in the chat box, so maybe you can be able to join us. So I've reshared the link, Getembe, in the chat box. So maybe you can just be able to click on it, and you'll be able to see a small survey which we are currently undertaking here. So what is the biggest challenge you face in the workplace? We have one person saying managing between caring for people you lead and making results to happen. Thank you so much. Any other people giving their responses? What is the biggest challenge you face in the workplace? I can see one more person saying staying in the same position for long. Tried several interviews in 2024 without success. Need to know where I can improve to succeed in 2025. You're definitely in the right place, because this is where we help you elevate in terms of your personal skills as well as your leadership skills, and they'll definitely help you get to the right places. We have someone else saying career progression, family and job balance. Thank you so much for that. You're also in the right place for this. I have one more person saying lack of good leadership and staying in temporary positions, overworking too. Thank you for that. When it comes to Crossroads, good leadership is the objective. We are looking to nurture the leaders who are here to even become better, and temporary positions. Through these skills, you'll even hear from some of the testimonials that we have here with us. They'll be able to tell you how each of these programs they've done, especially the Crossroads, has enabled them to even elevate when it comes to their career and getting promotions at work as well, developing teams. So thank you so much. That was our question, and I'd like to proceed to our last question of this survey, which is, what is your biggest goal for 2025? What is your biggest goal for 2025? Getembe, maybe you can just confirm to us that you've been able to access the link. Okay, thank you. I can see one person saying the biggest goal for 2025 is to master leadership skills. We have one other person saying career progression and stability. And I'm happy that for each of you whose goals are the above, you've made the decision to be part of the Crossroads program, because definitely and for sure it's going to help you move closer to each of these goals. Anyone else in terms of the biggest goal you have for 2025? What is your biggest goal for 2025? Welcome to the session, Molly. Welcome. What is your biggest goal for 2025? Maybe we can just have 3 more responses, then we can be able to close it at that. What is your biggest goal for 2025? Can say one other person says career progression and leadership skills. Crossroads is definitely the place to help you be able to achieve this as well. And have one more person, then we can close. One more response, then we can be able to close. Elevating your leadership skills. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for participating in this survey. And I'm happy to see that each and every one of you seems to have a very big reason why they've joined the Lapid program, which is definitely in line of the objectives of the program, which is definitely to help you when it comes to developing your leadership skills, as well as helping you when it comes to career clarity. Thank you so much. So that was it for our survey, and thank you so much for participating. So next, we just get to the main reason why we're here today, and the main reason for the session today is for each and every one of you to be able to understand about Lapid, as well as the Crossroads program, which each of you are interested in doing. And we can also be able to share with you how we'll get to proceed in terms of the next steps for the recruitment process. So just allow me to share my screen once again, where I can share a short video that summarizes what the Crossroads program is all about.
Lapid Leaders Africa is a non-profit organization whose mission is to ignite the prowess of the next generation of African leaders and empower them to reimagine the possible, equip the youth with the skills, the mindset, the networks, the experiences that they need to be able to be transformational leaders within the marketplace, and yet at the same time enable businesses to grow and benefit from those young people.
Our focus is in entrepreneurship.
Sorry?
On my end, and I don't know if that's the case for everybody, I can see the Mentimeter, and then the video is just one of the slides, a small slide. It's not on the main screen.
No, mine is okay.
Okay, maybe it's on my end.
Can anyone confirm that from their side it's okay? Faithway data? Okay,
mine is also okay.
Okay.
And leadership training, and we do this through a program that we call the flagship program, based on 3 core areas: leading South, leading the marketplace, and leading Africa. Because we believe as an organization that here in Africa, no one is coming to save us. And we need to build and raise leaders internally who can build solutions across the continent so that we can change the narrative of Africa. We believe that we are the most endowed continent. Just like we have a lot of minerals, young people are a treasure and a resource that we need to exploit as a continent.
Crossroads is a program that works with 4 years, at least 4 years of experience, and equips a person who's just starting to ask themselves, why am I in the workplace?
Who, at this point in their careers, they have gotten enough experience to try and figure out what they want to do in the future. But sometimes that may look like not being able to have the capacity to actually make the next move.
So what happens is most of us, the first job chooses us. But at some point you start to ask, why am I doing this job?
If I want to pivot into a new role, how do I go about it?
And that's what we call a crossroads.
I am fairly equipped now for a managerial role in terms of my experience, but do I have actually the skills and capacity to lead a team?
But you want to do more, you want to be involved in impact. Crossroads then is perfect for you.
I think what the program has done for me in my capacity as an employee, it first has enabled me to step into the business owner's shoes, so that when I am going to the business owner with proposals, when I am interacting with clients, I have a 360 view of what certain decisions organizations position, and that has really been helpful. Internally, it has also helped me to be able to lead a team.
The biggest magic is seeing somebody connect who I am and the work I do, because that's a place where people do work with excellence and have more impact. But also enjoy seeing them being promoted and sort of taking up new responsibilities. I think one of them is now actually working for us. We ended up recruiting him from a different organization. We have somebody who moved to UK and is an assistant manager. We have somebody who is a talent manager. I mean, they are all in different spaces, but the thing I love the most is that they can now connect work and who they are.
So my entrance to Lapid is not your everyday kind of entrance. I met the founder, Esther, at a different forum. It was actually a recruitment for Carnegie Mellon, and she happened to know the lady was doing the recruiting, and so did I, and I was coming to just give her a talk because I'd gone to the campus. And we just got chatting in the car, and she said, you know what, come, let's see what we can do together. And I said, fantastic, you sound like you're doing something great. And I've been in the program now for a while, and that's how I came to learn about Crossroads. A fantastic class, did it in 2020, which also made it a very interesting time, right? Because COVID times, lockdown, also at a crossroads. I was already thinking about what do I want to do next, about work, about my life, and boom, I found myself in the perfect class.
When I joined Lapid Crossroads, I was a business analyst at Lapid Africa Group. This was an individual contributor role where I was just checking the business data and making recommendations for what the business can do better.
At the time, I had just started leading teams at a larger capacity. I had been leading teams earlier in a more informal capacity. So when I started Crossroads, I got to understand my leadership style. I got to understand why teams behave the way they do. I got to understand how teams are formed, how to cement myself as a change maker and a decision maker.
After Crossroads, I got a promotion at my place of work and was made a leader of others. Now I was required to manage other individuals and also be responsible for their performance.
Out here, we always hear that, you should be an entrepreneur, but no one has ever told me that there's something called entrepreneurship that you can actually build in the company and spaces you are at. For me, that was phenomenal. So that changed my mindset in this way. If there was a problem or a gap I thought I could fix, right, then I would look at it, okay, how would I go about building a solution for it?
The second lesson that I learned was around personal mastery and change, is that you have to be a master of self and understand what motivates me in terms of reward and threats. So basically you assess how people within your team and even yourself look at primary reward and primary threats, and you look at what is it that you're able to motivate your team in doing. So you look at such things and they allow you to lead a team as well as know yourself.
That one is mindset. But mindset is a game changer. How do you change the way you think and look? And that's like part of my everyday life, I need to look 10 years ahead, 10 years behind. When they talk about leadership dynamics, they ask you if you're going to lead others. You have to be in a growth mindset 24/7 to be able to do so. So that was just fantastic.
What has come across for me is that these people have gone on to pivot in the various organizations that they worked in, but also go a step higher.
When I think about success in this program, it's us to allow business owners to focus on business development. As managers, take ownership of part of business development, but even the operations of organizations. And that allows organizations then to realize their full potential because they have the right managers and leaders within the organizations.
I would say if you're someone who's at the point of their career where they're not sure about what their next step is, or if you're someone who can clearly see the next step, but you do not have the soft skills that will enable you to make the most of that step, then I would say Crossroads is definitely the place for you, because you'll get access to mentors, you'll get access to networks, you'll get access to a community of like-minded individuals who've walked the path, who can support you and guide you in making that decision. And even moreover, after you have completed the program, give you access to a space where you get to implement what you have learned throughout the program. And I will say that is the value of Crossroads, and that is why you should be a part of the program as well.
And then two, if you make that choice, make the choice to also do the work, because the work is not easy.
And so for me, when I talk to employers, and this is something that I think about for myself and every other organization that I've worked in, you have a responsibility to grow yourself, but also you have a responsibility to grow your teams. And that determines the quality of work that you end up with. And so what we are providing is an opportunity to partner with you to grow your team to the capacity that they serve you even better, and are able to grow the business. That is, we allow individuals to be people and purpose-driven people at that. The quality of their work will increase, and ultimately the people will benefit our employers and businesses. So please send us your people.
I hope that has formed a good base for our conversation today, getting to hear from people who have actually done the program, how it benefited them. And this morning, we're also glad to have one of the alumni for the Crossroads program in our middays today. I'd seen Eugene had left. I don't know if he's back. Oh, yes. We have one of the alumni with us here today, and we can be able to hear from him in terms of the experience and how the Crossroad program has been able to give him practical progress in terms of his career, in terms of his business, and in terms of his personal growth. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Eugene Mwangi to share with us. Eugene, welcome.
Thank you. Kindly confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome. Thank you for also having me here. I have a couple of books over here opened. I was listening to the video, and some of the things were just coming to mind what we were going through. But for me, I can say, well, first and foremost, my name is Eugene Mwangi. I'm a quality assurance manager at Sun King Solar, or Sun King company. I don't know, maybe some of you might know of it. I joined Lapid the Crossroads program back in 2023. I believe maybe it was the last class before this one. And it was, for me, at the time when I was joining the program itself, I remember in August, the main reason is because, as the name suggests, I felt like I was at a crossroad. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do with my career. I was doing some analysis of my strengths and weaknesses, and trying to understand my place in the company that I work for, and maybe how I can move towards roles and tasks that favor me or work with my strengths. And so I didn't know, because at the same time, there was some work we were doing which maybe at the time I thought wasn't as valuable. So that's why I felt like maybe I needed some direction. And sure enough, I was able to get some direction from the program itself. When I joined, we went through a lot of modules, but one thing that really stuck with me was identifying your values and using those values to make informed decisions about what you want to do next in your career, in your personal life, in whatever it is that you're doing. And for me, I remember we did this exercise. There was this sheet that was sent to us, and it was a way, it helped at least identify some of the things that we value most. You're given a list of things, if it's money, if it's continuous learning, if it's mental challenges, if it's maybe high achievement. And then when you do it, you start identifying, oh, looking back, reflecting on my life, and maybe the areas where at the times I've succeeded, what is it that really motivated me? And for me, I was able to identify 3 things that really did motivate me. Maybe I can share it for the sake of the group. I remember it was continuous learning, high achievement, and a mental challenge. And so I realized before, I tried making a lot of my decisions based on money. such is the case, especially when you're coming from campus and you have these big dreams, and you see yourself earning all this money, and you see your colleagues earning the same amount of money. But I was always frustrated. I was always trying to find out what is the next big thing, moving with the wind. And again, this is to say, if money, I remember this was what Esther told us during the program, if money is your motivator, then stick with it. It's what will motivate you. But for me, having identified those issues, it now changed my mindset and how I viewed my work. I saw that for me, my biggest value is I am like a high achiever in whatever role that I am doing. And then now I started, as I was approaching my work now, I started viewing it not like, let's say, before what I used to do was I tried looking for roles that best suited my strengths. But now, in my work, what I started doing is whatever role comes to me, I try and identify what is the most value I can add to my company, to my organization through this role. So at least that's in a way aligned with some of the things that were motivating me in terms of values. And through that, I can say with time, I remember by God's grace, 3 months later on, my boss called me. I don't know if it was the work, but I truly believe that the journey, especially for those, because it was now 6 months from the point of joining, the journey through Lapid and that change in mindset and change in how I viewed my work and now the value that I was adding to my company. My boss called me. I did not even apply for the promotion. He's the one who told me, hey, Eugene, we've seen the work that you've done. I've requested now the director of the company to promote you to this role of a manager. And since then, I've continued applying. I was able to get that role, thanks be to God, as a manager. And now I see how important it was for me to join Lapid, because it also prepared me on how to manage a team, how to build a team together. And you're trying to focus this, you have different people, and you're all trying to achieve this one goal, different personalities and all that. And it's something that I'm continually learning about. And again, there's something Ivy said. When you join Lapid, and it's something that you have to take with you even afterwards, you have to intend to do the work. It's not easy, but it's the rewards outweigh the sacrifice that you'd make. The rewards in terms of your thinking, in terms of the peace of mind, once you identify the things that really do drive you, once you see that you're actually adding value, you're creating impact in your organization. There's something called entrepreneurship, where you find ways where how you can add value to your organization. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. If that's not for you at this season, you can find other ways. You can pick up projects that can add value, and it's something that really, really did change how I viewed work, and it's something that continues to help me up to date. So that's my experience so far. I don't know if there's something else I need to share at this point, or feel like I've said a mouthful.
Not really. I think you're in the right line. So maybe you can also give them a chance in case anyone has a question for you in terms of how the experience was for you. You can welcome them to do that.
Okay.
Maybe as we wait for the others to sort of think through any questions they may have for Eugene, or even for Faith. Eugene, perhaps the question that I have for you is, and I celebrate you, I think you are very intentional with your process in terms of sort of figuring out your values, and also that translated into a promotion is a very big thing that we celebrate. The question that I have for you is twofold. Some of the bigger things I think that Lapid, and especially within Crossroads, that we do that's different from the other flagship programs is we tend to have opportunities for sort of one-on-one coaching sessions. And I'd love to hear some reflections on that in terms of either you or some of the team members. What was the value of that? So that's the first question that I have for you. And then the second question that I have for you is around, so for somebody who is thinking about the program, and I think you've addressed this a bit, but I'd love for you to expand it. How do they mentally prepare for it? Because I think what I'm hearing you say, it's one thing to apply, it's another to be admitted, but it's another to be able to do the work. And doing the work is where the real work is. And so the second question therefore then is, how do they prepare for that? Because I think there's some mental preparation that's needed to be able to make the most out of the program. So sort of those two things. Any reflections you may have around the value of the coaching for yourself or even one of the team members, but then also the value of what kind of mental preparations do people need to have in readiness for the program?
Thank you. Thank you for those questions, Esther. So I'll start with the coaching sessions. The value of coaching is for me personally, it was very important because I remember we had a one-on-one with Esther, whereby I just got to share everything about my life, the ups and the downs, and it's very refreshing when you have someone with a bit more experience who actually gives you the time to listen to you, and given the experience, they can identify things in your stories that maybe you are blind to, and they become like eye openers, and you're like, oh, maybe that's why this happened. Maybe this is because I was thinking this way. You know, things that are really not that obvious to you, and that's something that I really did appreciate, being able to share my story without the judgment, because it was an open space. It's not like I was coming to showcase how good I was. You just share your story as it is, your ups and your downs, and you have this person who has the experience. And in all honesty, I felt like who has better things to do than listen to your problems? But still, they sit there, they listen to you, and they try to identify with you. They're not trying to solve the problems for you. They're trying to identify with you maybe some of the things that in your stories you might not have seen, and maybe might have changed your perspective at the time, but you can use that information and that history to make informed decisions in the future. So that's something that I really did appreciate. Maybe coming to your second question about the mental preparation. And for me, I also think this is another big one, because you really do have to be mentally prepared to, in all honesty, in my view, when you're doing the Lapid Crossroads, for you to gain the most out of it, I know you might have other projects, but you really have to purpose to prioritize it as one of the key things that you're doing on a daily basis, because you do have the classes that usually happen. At least for us, what used to happen, we had the classes during the weekends. Most of them are online. I think 2 or 3 times we met physically, but the work and the intentionality, because there are tasks that you're given to do. And if you do not purpose to change your routine, if you do not purpose to actively look for time to do those tasks, they will never add value to you. Because then again, you have one day, and actors and the mentors, they try to cram everything in that one day. But for it to really take effect, it's something that you have to practice. It's something that you have to intentionally do on a daily basis, looking for those pockets of times, even if it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, to review what you've learned. Because again, in one day, you're given all this information, but you have a week. And if you are very intentional about it and you reorganize things and you're purposing to gain a lot from the Crossroads program, you really do have to look for that time. And again, at times you think you're busy, but in all honesty, it's just priorities. You will always make time for what you prioritize. That's the thing that I'm learning. And if you want to gain the most from Lapid, you have to prioritize it. Because I will not lie, we had some challenges, but those times where you actually do focus and you actually do intend to give priority to Lapid, I learned a lot from that. Because I got to learn from, they send you documents that you can go through, their projects that you do, their exercises that you do. And it's through that practice that you actually see the impact of the work that they're doing at Lapid. Otherwise, you'll go through the months, the 4th months, and then think, oh, what did I gain? And yet it's just because you did not prioritize and did not practice, knowledge puffs up. But if you put it into actual practice and you release it, you actually see the value of what you're learning in class. And believe you me, it's very valuable. It's something that will change how you approach your work. It's something that will change how you approach your relationship with your colleagues, even at home. Even there are so many things that we learned that were only impactful in my own life when I put them into practice. So that's what I can say.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for answering those questions. I don't know if we have anyone else with a question to Eugene.
Let me go. Okay, I'm Kennedy. I just want to understand basically the question that I want to pose to Eugene and Esther. It's about prioritization. You have mentioned how to prioritize your work. First of all, maybe just to give you a recap of where I am right now. I'm a student also. I just graduated last year, but I've taken another course. So I'm a student also. I'm working with one of the non-governmental organizations working with refugees within the urban setting. And when I look at my schedule, I will say I am an employee. Then also I am a student also. Then I have other issues. Let's say when it comes to church activities, I'm also someone who is like a deacon in a church. So when I look at my schedule, I rarely get time, because also I need to create time with my family. I need to create time with my children to look after their homework. And after class, you're coming a bit late, and sometimes I'm not even able to tie up on that. So I'm asking, how do you, in such a situation, how do you come in now? Will now this rapid course take you also in another dimension? Because I see like I will need also to create more time in this. So maybe you can advise me on that and how maybe to put priorities on this. Because also on Saturdays, like today, I was supposed to be in another meeting. So I'm asking this on just to get your advice when I'm taking this course, whether will I be able, the time that I need to put aside and to be able to, to achieve what I may want to achieve. Thank you. Over to you.
So should I take this, Esther, or will you? Okay. So yeah, life can be busy. Life can get busy. But maybe I can share a story, not mine, but one of our participants in the cohort. I think, I forget his, Mohammed or Ibrahim. He was in a lot of ways, he was quite similar to you. He was a family man. He had his business, and he was also a dentist. And furthermore, he was in Mombasa. So you can imagine the hassle of getting to Nairobi during the physical classes. And I'll share this, then maybe hand it over to Esther for her to expound a bit more. But the thing is, in all honesty, especially in our cohort, in the group that I was in, somehow he managed to find the time. He used to share with us, like, let's say maybe during lunch break, he'd take like 30 minutes to do something, because again, he'd say he'd get to the office, he's a dentist, he had to do his work. Later on in the evening, he had to go and follow up on his business, because he had another business with public transport, and then go back home with the family. But interestingly, I don't know if this came from experience, he's a bit older than us, he had found a way to manage, because he was, in all honesty, even in submission of the exercises and the homeworks and the activities, he was the one who was at the forefront, compared to us who are a bit younger, and maybe some of us who did not have families at the time. And what he used to share is that for him, it's not like he was setting aside 2-3 hours a day or something of that sort. It was a bit more strategic for him. He'd break down his day at times, like find 30-minute pockets of time, 20-minute pocket of time, and actually do whatever he was able to do. And that way, initially, it seemed to be slow, but eventually, I remember like 2-3 months down the line, when we were looking at the submissions of the tasks done, he was the one who had submitted most of the tasks. And so for me, I learned it's more about, like, let's say, those small pockets of time that you can make most use of them and focus on maybe some other activities like Lapid or something of that sort. They really do help. And cumulatively, they may not seem a lot during the time, but when you add them up, the amount of work you've done, it really does make up for maybe lack of having 2-hour blocks where you can just focus on it. But that was my view, at least when I reflect back on his experience. Maybe over to you, Esther.
I totally agree with what you've said, and I love the example that you've used of Mohammed, because he probably was the one who should have struggled the most, just given all the responsibilities that he had. He was in his mid to late 40s, and so had quite a bit going on in his life. But actually, he's the one person who was very consistent in terms of delivery of projects, in terms of attendance of the classes. And so I think part of it goes back to sort of the mindset with which you sign up for such spaces. Your reality, Kennedy, is you will have to sacrifice something, and that's life. Though you cannot have everything you want to be able to achieve without some sort of compromises and sacrifices. And that may look like different things for everybody. So for example, in this case for Mohammed, it looks like perhaps waking up a lot earlier before people start their day and making time to work on what he needs to work on. Perhaps it looks like lunchtime. So you will definitely need to make some compromises and sacrifices to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. The way I look at it is, one, why are you here? Because I think that's the most important question that you need to sit with. If you have clarity of whether you should be here and if this is a necessary thing in your life, then the question then becomes, what compromises do you need to make to be able to achieve that? Do not sign up for Crossroads as an option. You must have a clear reason why you want to be here. The year is starting. There are things in your life that are driving you towards signing up for this program. Those are the things that you need to sit with the most and be able to say, perhaps I need to have more clarity around my career. I need to figure out some leadership skills. And these are important to me because of 1, 2, 3. Perhaps my family needs to be able to see me move from X to Y. Ultimately, you need to have a clear reason why you're here. That will then drive the sacrifices that you need to be able to make to achieve the goals that you need to achieve. You cannot achieve anything in life without those two things: clear reason why and the sacrifices that are needed for it. The benefit that this cohort has that perhaps Eugene's didn't have is we have restructured the program a bit, and Faith will take us through the whole program in a short while. And we have condensed everything into 2 months. Now that means even more hard work. But the reason we condensed it into 2 months is we realized the 4-month stretch was a little bit of a stretch on most of the team members in terms of the time that it takes to complete all the activities. And so we've condensed everything into 2 months, but it also means we have more in-person sessions. Again, Faith will take us through that. And so what we've done is we've created sort of bootcamp style of interactions so that then you're able to just cover quite a bit at the same time. For a lot of Eugene sessions, they were on Saturdays the whole day. And we realized that was a stretch for many people. And so what we've done is sort of rejigged that so that then we have more intensive boot camps. Within the boot camps, we've created time for you to do quite a bit of reflection. But that said, you will need to make some compromises and sacrifice to be able to achieve the most out of the program. So Kennedy, I don't know if I've answered your question. I will not lie to you and tell you it will be easy. I do know that it takes quite a bit of time and sacrifices. But I also do know that there's nothing in life that comes without that.
I think that's good for now. I think I'll be inquiring more as we continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you so much for that question. And we hope that it's something that we can also help you even when you're planning to proceed with the program. Anyone else with a question? Anyone else with a question to Eugene? Anyone?
Faith, in the interest of time, let's just move now to the presentation, just because of also time is going. Perhaps Eugene was going to be here, I'm sure. And so after the presentation, if there are any additional questions, we can pick them up.
Okay, that's fine. So maybe now that we have base information in regards to what we can expect in this program, now we can dive into the specifics of the program. Just allow me to share my screen. Maybe you can confirm that you can be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So just for an introduction, I believe maybe most of you have a picture or maybe an idea of what Lapid Leaders does. So we are basically a non-governmental organization, and we mainly focus on developing leadership and bringing out the leadership in people that may have not yet discovered their potential, and changing the mindset when it comes to people who are looking to elevate now to this side of leadership. So we have different programs that are tailored towards this, and we focus on different things, which include self-awareness. We also look at cultivating skills as well as igniting a passion for positive change. Then nextly, we have our mission. So as I had mentioned, mainly we are focused on the leadership side of development, and we work with different age groups and different categories of people, just to ensure at each and every level they are at, they are able to develop this leadership that they're looking to have. And our slogan actually is igniting prowess, because that is what we actually do, trying to develop leaders holistically as we try to prepare them for the future growth through connecting them to mentors as well as coaches, as Eugene had mentioned about the experience he had when it came to the coaching sessions. So when it comes to our approach, we deliver leadership experiences that change mindsets, which I had already mentioned, as well as building self-awareness and exemptional character and skills. Through each and every development, it has to start from, it's a decision you have to make on your own. So it has to start with the self-awareness, self-accepting that you have to do this, and that's when you can be able to have a smooth journey when it comes to your development as a leader. So in terms of our achievements as Lapid, we actually, this is our 11th year when it comes to experience in leadership development. We were celebrating our 10 years last year in 2024. And as of today, we have 1,400 plus leaders who have been trained in the different programs that we have. Because aside from the Crossroads program, we also have our flagship, we also have our digital apprentice. And yes, they look to develop leaders in different ways, but mainly in the end, we are getting to have impactful leaders throughout this program. So as of now, we've been able to train at least 1,400 leaders, and we are also recognized globally. That is through the Obama Fellow as well as Oprah Winfrey Foundation, among others. Yes. Now, when it comes to the Crossroads, in terms of the key objectives, the people we are targeting, as well as what are the outcomes you should expect by the end of the program. So for each and every one of you to be able to get to this point, that means that we've seen the potential and you've also met all the requirements that we had for this program. So first and foremost, we were looking for people who have at least 8 years of experience. And aside from that, we were just not looking at the experience, but we are also looking at your motivation in terms of the goals that you have, where you want to be, and maybe the things that motivate you even to be a part of this program. And even for each and every one of you who has gotten to this point, I'd once again tell you congratulations, because you're definitely the right people we are looking for this program. So in terms of the focus, which is also something I've mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, is that we are looking to equip the participants with management and leadership skills needed to lead effectively in their areas of expertise. Be it you're a business owner and you're looking to elevate the way you manage your business, this is the place for you. Be it you're an employee and you're looking to just make impactful change within your organization, even as you look to climb up the ladder in terms of the leadership, this is also the program for you. Then in terms of our outcomes, we are looking to develop you in a way that you're able to lead yourself And through this, you can be able to extend it to the people around you, that is in your organizations or in your businesses, and be able to extend this change. As you heard from the testimonial that Eugene has given us, he said that it is something that initially he was looking to develop himself in terms of leadership, but in the end, this was able to be recognized in the organization as he was extending it through his work and the impact and change that he was bringing forth into the organization. So we hope that for those of you who are here, and this is among the objectives that they have even as they do this program, we are hoping by the end of it all, we'll also get to hear your testimonials in regards to how you've been able to change yourself as well as change the people around you in terms of leadership. Yeah, so for the pillars of the Crossroad program, we have transforming self, transforming teams, and transforming the organization. That is what I was trying to explain, in a way that you first have to understand yourself, understand your goals, understand your objectives, and what you really need to do in order to be able to achieve your goals and as well as achieve your purpose. In this way, you can be able to extend this to the people around you through the leadership skills and the tools that you'll be bringing forth. And eventually, this will be an impactful change and within your whole organization. So the Crossroad program is not only looking to transform you, but also extend the transformation to the people around you, which is the teams, as well as the organizations that you're working for or the businesses that you're currently running. So in terms of what is going to be covered in the modules of the Crossroad programs, this is just in summary, but we'll be looking to cover leadership for impact, where you're going to master the skills to lead with purpose, to inspire teams, as well as drive the meaningful change. We are also going to look at career clarity and personal branding, where you'll be able to have a clear understanding of the path you want to take professionally, and also be able to build a brand for yourself. So this brand that you're going to build is going to be like your staircase. It's the one that's going to help you be able to elevate to the places you want to be, get to the networks that you want to be able to have access to. It all starts from your personal brand, how you view yourself, how your mindset is, and how you're able to present yourself to other people around you. Thirdly, we are also going to have the strategic thinking and problem solving in a fast changing world. So this will equip you with the skills and tools you need to navigate uncertainty, innovate, and create sustainable solution. One thing for sure is that the Lapid programs is going to help you become a problem solver, and you're always going to be able to think on your feet. You're always going to be ahead, because this program will give you a lot of time in regards to reflection and giving you the chance to make the decisions and find the solutions to maybe problems that are presented to you. So it's definitely going to help you when it comes to being at the forefront, when it comes to problem solving, as well as giving solutions. And this is also among the steps that you're supposed to take when it comes to the development of leadership and even being able to climb up the ladder of your leadership stairs. Yes, now on to the benefits of the Crossroad programs. I think this is something we've been mentioning right from the beginning, even through the testimonials and the introduction of this presentation. We are looking to have each and every one of you be able to gain career clarity. In case some of the challenges you're currently facing is maybe wondering if, are you in the right place? Is this what you want to be able to do in the next 5 to 10 years? The Lapid program is for you. If you're looking to master your leadership skills and be able to elevate within your organization and also elevate the management of your businesses, this is also for you. And also just to accelerate your growth in general in terms of connecting you with the purpose-driven professionals and industry leaders who will now be among your network the moment you decide to be a part of this program. Then next, this is to introduce our CEO and founder for Lapid Leaders Africa, Esther Maniki, who is with us in this meeting, and she'll be the lead facilitator of this Crossroad program. And Esther has many achievements. Even when we are, at times when we are giving about the testimonials of what Lapid does, the areas that we've been able to reach, I'd say this is an effort that we will give credit to Esther, because I think the dedication she has put throughout this organization in ensuring that the programs are able to achieve the objectives and we're able to get the right people and also get to the right network within the programs. I think we can also give credit to her because, yeah, being the pillar of this program, would really want to appreciate her presence here. So Esther is recognized globally, and she's an Obama Fellow and recipient of the prestigious Oprah Winfrey Foundation's Africa Women in Public Service Fellowship. And she's also the former head of risk management and at Guarantee Trust Bank Kenya, driving strategic growth and innovation. Lastly, she has intentional impact in a way that we have extensive tenure and PricewaterhouseCoopers in Kenya, at the UK, where she oversaw the merger of Lloyds Banking Group, the UK largest bank. So that's it for our lead facilitator, Esther Mwaniki. Then now we've gotten to hear a couple of testimonials through the video. We've had people who've done the program. We've also gotten to hear from Eugene, and we also have some more testimonials here. We've been able to see and hear from Joseph, who was also part of the video. And initially, before he joined the Lapid Crossroads, he was a business analyst at SEDA Africa Group. And currently, he's a team leader at Talent and Change of SEDA Africa Group. So what he has to say about the Crossroads experience is that by applying the skills learned in Crossroads, I was prompted and started managing a team. I was also moved into a more client-facing role. This is all thanks to the Crossroads programs and the skills that he was able to gain through this program. We also have Hilda Ombasa, who says before she joined the Crossroads program, she was in a customer service position, and now she's been able to elevate to a territorial manager of the National Oil Corporation of Kenya. And what she has to say about the Crossroads program is that through the Crossroads program, I was empowered to move from a customer service position at my current workplace to a territorial manager. It has also influenced me to take up my PhD, as I felt like I could achieve more. This is just but a few, but from each and every testimonial you've had, you can be able to see growth and elevation within their stories. I don't think we have anyone who has done like the Crossroads program and you just remain where you are, because as we mentioned, it is able to transform you in each and every way, right from yourself up to the way you interact with people and the impact that you're bringing around them. So as I mentioned, I hope the next time we're doing this presentation for the next cohort, we'll be having a few of you giving us their testimonial on the same. I hope we're together up to there. I know I've given so much information within a short period of time, but I hope that even as you continue, you're able to get clarity of what the program has to offer and how we'll be proceeding. So from there, I'd like to get into the specifics of the program, which will now to start with the key dates. So maybe just to raise whatever Kenneth had brought up. So we'll ensure that we are able to share with you all the important dates that you'll need even when it comes to your planning, considering it's a 2-month program. So we'll just tell you in advance each and every important date that we have, so that you can be able to know how to plan for your schedule. And in case you need any of our support in terms of this planning, we'll be very willing to assist on that. So maybe just to start, so as we had mentioned, maybe when you saw in the advertisement, when you're doing the application, the program is set to kick off in February. So we are going to officially kick off on the 8th of February, where we're going to be having our welcome session. We are closing our applications on the 31st of January. So from there now, we can be able to have our welcome session on the 8th, where it's just to have an opening session with all the people we'll have qualified right to the very end and the ones who will be joining the program. So it will be a welcome session where you also be able to meet a few of our mentors as well as coaches who will be part of the program, as well as get to meet the people that you'll be doing this program with in terms of the participants. So that will be happening on the 8th of February. That should be on a Saturday, and it's going to be a physical event. Then from there, we're going to have our own online onboarding week, which is going to be from the 8th to 14th. So as mentioned, this is online. So it's just a week where we'll be preparing you in regards to what to expect, providing you maybe the necessary materials that you'll need even as you prepare to onboard onto this program. So that will be happening between the 8th to the 14th. Then on the 15th, we are going to have our first session. So it's going to be virtual as well. And that is what we'll be referring to as our onboarding session. So it will just be the first session where you're going to be officially introduced now to the program. So that should be on the 15th of February, which will also be on a Saturday. And it's going to be virtual. Then from there, we're going to proceed to our first in-person bootcamp, which will be from the 20th to the 22nd. So that will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 20th to the 22nd of February. So how this bootcamp setup is going to look like is that we're just going to be having a full day of classes, but in the evening, you can be able to go back to your home. So for the ones who are employed, I know you might be thinking Thursday, Friday, that's a work day, and how will you be able to attend this? We are also in a position to offer you official letters, which you can be able to present to your employers to request for you to be part of this program for these 2 days. That will be Thursday and Friday. Yes, and in case you also work on Saturday, we can definitely be able to indicate that so that you're given the opportunity to be part of this program, even if you're employed. So we are also, after that, we are going to have another online session. So this is going to be virtual. That should be on the 1st and the 8th of March. This will also be on Saturdays for both dates. Then from there, we're going to proceed to our second bootcamp, which will be from the 13th to 15th, and the setup is going to be the same as the one for bootcamp 1, where we're going to have classes from Thursday to Saturday, a full day of classes and reflection sessions. Then from there, we are going to have the online live session on the 22nd, and we're also going to have another session on the 29th. Virtual will also be happening on Saturday. Then as we come towards the end of the program, we'll also be having our dry run sessions, which are just sessions which help us to clear and prepare for the upcoming graduation ceremony, which is scheduled for the 5th of March, which is what we are referring to as the Jamboree. Yes, so that will be our 8 weeks of putting in the work and the effort in order to be able to come to the other side of the graduation as impactful leaders. So we'll also be able to share these dates with you on email so that in case you want to plan your calendar for the same, you can be able to do that. So that was it in terms of the key dates that we have. And as Med mentioned, it's going to be an 8-week program that is 2 months from the beginning of February to the end of March, and we'll be having our graduation on the very first week of April. Then the cost of the program is 64,000, but we can also invite you to be able to make this payment in installments in case you're not able to clear it all at once. Johnston, I can see you have a question. Maybe you can just give me a minute because I'm actually almost done. Yeah, so that is the cost of the program. We can also be able to share the payment plan to you on email so that you can know in case you're to make this in installment, how you can be able to pay for this. So that was it for our presentation today. And I'm hoping by the end of this, it has helped you to be able to have a clear understanding of how the program setup and structure looks like, the objectives, and what would also be required from your side. And in case you need to reach out to us in any way, you can always reach out to us through the email and our contact, which is also here, as well as our social media pages through the handle that we've attached below. So that was it for the presentation. And yeah, maybe at this point, before I welcome, maybe I can welcome Esther to say something before we proceed to the question. Oh, you don't have anything to say? Okay. So we can proceed to the questions. Johnston, I can see you had a question.
Well, I wanted to ask about the Jamboree. You have indicated it's 5th of March.
Yes.
So, but at the end you have confirmed it is 5th April. That's what
Oh,
I wanted
oh,
to.
we've written 5th March. Sorry for that. It's supposed to be 5th April. Sorry for that error. Yes. Any other question in terms of the structure, in terms of the dates? Anything that's not clear before we proceed?
Maybe as people reflect, let me just do one or two thoughts around the whole structure. Though several things. One, is a question around that's often asked around who is the program for, and I think the slides have attempted to answer that. Our best targets are more than actually 8 years of experience. There's quite a bit of shifting that we are doing with the program. And Eugene perhaps was part of the last cohort, and there was quite a bit of learning that was done then. And so we've shifted quite a bit of the information. Majority of the people will be 8 years and above. To be honest, if you have less than 8 years of experience, we would need to see in your application, and perhaps the team has already reviewed that and that's the reason you're here. But it's primarily for this cohort, we really want to work with people who have more experience, and so the 8 years of experience is a very big part of this. And the reason for that is because there's some level of there's some thought process that experience gives people, and we want to be able to leverage on that as we move towards the Crossroads space. Then the second thing is that a question that I often get is around why the name Crossroads. My experience has been a lot of people go through various crossroads. So the first big sort of challenge that people face as they join their professional life happens when they're just joining the marketplace, and sort of that place of finishing campus to join the marketplace. There's some questions there around who am I, what's the places that I can be able to work in. And then many people get the job that they get. And the video is actually still accurate. Most people, the first job, you don't choose it, it chooses you. But you also tend to join that job with a lot of naivety, which is just sort of the life cycle, the cycle of life. And you do that for a couple of years. But our experience has been there's a point where you also start to ask, is this what am I doing? I've done this for the last 5 years. I think for Eugene's cohort, we primarily focused on 5 years experience. I've done this for 5 years. What am I doing with myself? What are my next steps? And that's a common conversation that we hear with most people. I tell people though, and organizations know about it, especially your large organizations. I started my professional life working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, as was listed here, which is an audit firm, and worked with them for about 5 years, the first 5 years. And then in the 5th year, I was sent on secondment to UK and was in UK for 2 years. Now, the reason I suspect that the 5th year is when they send you on this secondment is because they can tell at the 5th year is when you're starting to have those questions of what am I doing with myself? What's the impact of my work? What is the quality of my work? And so in the 5th year, they then send you on secondment. And so in my case, I was sent to a place called Leeds in UK, but I used to do quite a bit of assignments in London. But the reason they do that is to expose you so that then you start to broaden your way of thinking in terms of what's possible, because they almost recognize that if you've done this for 5 years, whether it's in the same organization or different organizations, if you do not spend time sort of just reflecting on the impact of the work that you do, then ultimately you will be impacted by that. And so in my 5th year, I was sent to UK, was there for about 2 years, then came back. But the questions of the 5th year hadn't gone away, because it's a phase of life. We've been doing Lapid for the last 10 years. And so now I start to see the same thought process that's going through our alumni, sort of the people that we started with in 2014, 2015. I can see the thinking that they're going through, which is almost similar to the one that I had in those, at that time on my 7th year, on my 8th year. And so By the time then I came back, the question is even louder around why, who am I? What's the impact of the work that I'm doing? What are the things that drive me? And I think it goes back to what Eugene shared earlier. At that point, you want to make sure that you have clarity around what are the values that drive you. In this case, for example, in Eugene, it's the clarity of high achievement is important to him. And that allows him to be able to then settle on the work, because around him, he'll have people perhaps who are driven by salary, perhaps people who are driven by variety. There are various sort of categories that we assess to be able to figure out what drives you. And you will start to hear people with variety speaking to you in terms of, can we move jobs? You start to hear people with salaries starting to talk about the finances. And it's very easy to get caught up in that conversation. But what the Crossroads program enables you to do is to assess not what everybody else's agenda is, but what is your own agenda, and then build on the basis of that. So in my case, in my 8th year is actually when I ended up transitioning out of PwC. I'd worked with them for 5 years in Kenya, 2 years in UK, did 1 year when I was back, and left in 2012. 2012 is when I left PwC. And when I was leaving PwC, I actually knew that I wanted to do work in the space of leadership development, but I didn't have the communities and the conversations that we have today. So because of that, I wasn't very clear around what that would look like. I knew that I wanted to do something that has impact, because for me, one of my core values are around impact, but also ambition is a very big part of the work that I want to be able to do. And so then entering into spaces of, there is a question in my mind that's very prevalent around, is this it? Am I doing what I want to be able to do with my life? Am I adding value? And so 2012 left PwC, was out for a few months, but I couldn't get a space that would enable me to structure that conversation. And so you went back to the formal employment. And so just moved back to Guarantee Trust Bank. And worked with Guarantee Trust Bank for 2 years. I was the head of risk and compliance. And I was really, in many ways, still very young. But the opportunity to be able to work with the board to shape sort of where the bank would move next was exciting for me. And so worked with them for about 2 years. In 2014, the bank was acquired, because that's the other thing about the workplace. It's not a workplace that exists to give you a sense of clarity of who you are and what matters to you. It is your job to be able to build that for yourself. And then when you have that clarity, then you're able to ask, what are the spaces that I can thrive in? Many of us are frustrated with workplaces on the basis of a job that's not the workplace's job to do. The workplace exists to be able to produce. It's your own job to be able to ask, who am I? What do I want to be able to do? How do I contribute? And what's the things that matter to me? And then therefore marry that with the value that they need. But a lot of spaces, and I think there's a lot of study that has been done around this. Brighter Monday did some study the other day, and they found quite a number of people in this market are frustrated with the workplace. And for many reasons, some of them are very valid, but a lot of them is we are waiting for somebody to come and do the work that we need to do by ourselves. And so what Crossroads create is a space where you get to think about yourself. The reason we haven't, and perhaps somewhere along the way we will shift this, we haven't been successful with working directly with organizations is this is a very individual work. It's not about what the organization wants. It's about who are you and what matters to you and what career and life do you want to be able to build. And so that conversation is very important as we meet. And so then started Lapid in that conversation and worked primarily fresh from campus, but now then increasingly we'll actually work with more experienced people. One of the bigger things that I'm looking forward to, especially for this cohort, is we're going to work with these, we did in December, we identified what we call the top purpose-driven leaders in Kenya. And so sort of did quite a bit of work to identify your C-suite leaders who are at the space or at the intersection of leadership excellence, impact, and profit. So sort of are driven by profit, driven by impact and leadership excellence. And some of them will actually be part of the faculty team that's going to be leading this cohort. And that's because the other thing that we're very big about is the program has diverse mentors, and that allows you to have diverse voices, diverse experiences guiding your thinking. And so that helps people to see themselves in the context of different experiences because you show up with different things in mind. So perhaps just to bring this home, some of the things that I enjoy about this program is one, there's quite a bit of self-reflection. And I know that that's not a common thing for many people, but my experience has been that if you can understand yourself really well, then the value that you will produce increases. So for me, it's not surprising that Eugene starts to get a promotion, because I've seen that with very many other people. It's that you have I'm part of a community right now that we're talking about inner development goals. So for the longest time, people talked about sustainable development goals, but increasingly people are asking, sustainable development goals are going to be created by people, well, also robots, but let's focus on the people. But the people will only be able to create that change if they've set up the inner development goals. And so the point I'm trying to make is a big part of the Crossroads that's very important is the reflection and the self-awareness that we enable you to be able to build up. The second thing that I love about Crossroads is around the coaching sessions. And while in the past I could do all of them, increasingly I can tell we need to expand that. And that's why I'm excited about having sort of the purpose-driven awardees be part of this whole process, so that then they're also able to sit with each individual and sort of listen to where they are at and be able to guide them on where they move. And that's why we also lock the cohorts to 25 maximum. And so the personalized coaching enables us to be able to hear you, because your realities are very different, and the way people learn and the way people process information is on the basis of their experiences. And so when I'm sitting with Eugene, in reality, what I'm trying to help him to do is to process what he is getting in class in the context of his own personal experiences. And so the coaching is something that I'm very, I love about this program. So the reflection, the coaching, the third thing that I enjoy about this program is around the whole idea of they have practical projects, and those projects, the bigger goal of them is to sharpen your problem solving skills. You had Ivy talking about the entrepreneurship projects that they work on, and the idea behind that, I mean, some of them end up, I know, for example, the people who are entrepreneurs, they do the projects on the basis of their own businesses, and that expands the possibilities for them. But the goal ultimately is to help you build some problem solving skills that you can then be able to build solutions for yourself. One of the bigger things that we are keen about in Lapid is raising change makers for the country and for the continent. And that's not possible if we are not then building the problem solving skills that we need. So I think, I'm sure there's a fourth one that I've forgotten. Oh yeah, I've remembered. So love the reflection, the personalized coaching, the fact that you get to interact with a variety of mentors, the fact that you get to do practical projects, and ultimately the fact that you get to work in teams. And so, for example, in Eugene's cohort, they had people from diverse backgrounds. As you had, there was a dentist who was based in Mombasa. There was an engineer. I think Nick was in the engineering space, and we think Eugene is also in the engineering space. There was an accountant. Those diverse experiences, there was somebody who worked for Kenya Medical, KMTC, something like that. Those diverse experiences allow you to learn from each other, but also to be able to build community that you can go back to even outside the class, to be able to build on the things that you're doing with your lives. And so sort of that's the bigger picture of the program. I love this photo, this room. I was actually given this by one of the cohorts. I think it was the cohort before Eugene. But it represents sort of a child playing with a lion. And I think that's sort of the thing that we hope that we activate as we do the Crossroads program. So I think that sort of just brings together everything that Faith has talked about. Our bigger goal for this was to give you information that enables you to make an informed decision. Based after this meeting, you would get an email that gives you all the details that you need to then be able to make an assessment as to whether you will sign up. We're in the process of doing the sign-ups. By the end of this month, we close that process. We have a purpose circle on Fast February, which you can be part of. And it's just a community of people who are having conversations around purpose. And so you start to be invited to that. And officially, the cohort starts on 8th of February. I want to just pick perhaps one question. Where are we located? We are currently located at what's the name of that building? It's on, Faith will give you the details of where the team is currently located. And then you can be able, if you would like to have an in-person conversations with them, please book the time with them. She will share the phone number and the email address, and then you can be able to book some time if you would prefer to have an in-person session. We recently moved to that place, and so it hasn't entered into my brain yet. And so she will put that in the chat room. Anybody else with a question or something you'd like me to clarify, so that we also start to wrap up, because I think our time is up. We'd say this would end at 10:30. So maybe 1 or 2 questions that we may have, so that we close the process. So hopefully you have a strong sense of what the program is about. Hopefully you have a strong sense of the key dates. Hopefully you have a strong sense of the value you can get from it. I think doing it at the start of the year is actually a fantastic plan, because then you're then able to plan the rest of the year and have an opportunity to be able to set up yourself up for the rest of the year as a year where you're bold and where you have clarity of who you are and what you want to be able to achieve. And so I hope to see some of you be part of that whole process. Yes, Wanandege Flats, that name keeps disappearing. Yes, unless there are any other questions, we can start to wrap up. Thank you very much for being part of this whole process. Please give the feedback to the team in terms of your next steps, so that also we don't have too much of back and forth. One of the bigger things that we are big on within the space of Lapid is sort of that excellence that takes our communication to the next level. I think there's a lot of if you work with me, and Eugene has worked with me, and many other people have worked with me for extended periods of time, the one thing that I insist on is we must learn how to do excellence as a country and as a continent. The reality is you live in a global village. The thing that I'm excited about today is now our young people start now leading in spaces from across the world. You'll find them in UK, we have students, we have alumni in Japan, we have alumni in Kenya. But the thing that I hear that's consistent with the people who interact with the brand that's Lapid is you must learn how to operate at the space of excellence. I think there's a level of mediocrity that we normalize because of a lot of the challenges that we have as a country and as a continent. But within the Lapid space, the one thing that we demand, that this one we use the word demand, is excellence. And so in the spirit of that, I would like to encourage all of us to be upfront about the communication around what your next steps are, so the team doesn't have to do quite a bit of back and forth. If you have any challenges, please feel free to reach out to Faith. They will share a phone number there. I think they've already shared in the chat room, and you can reach out. Let's make the decision and let's communicate what the next steps are. So thank you so much for making the time to be part of this conversation. Faith, back to you to close the conversation.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you for that communication. And also thank you for also communicating the next steps, which is what the next thing we wanted you to say, is that we'll be sharing an email that has all the details. And maybe through the email, you can also be able to let us know your next step in regards to your progress in the recruitment process. Then we can be able to proceed from there. Yeah, so that's all from us. And that will have Faith Waithira to do the vote of thanks and close the session for us.
Hi everyone, I hope I'm audible. Thank you so much to everyone who has participated in this session, for picking our calls, our many calls. Thank you, Eugene, also for responding to the call to come and help us with the testimonial. I believe if it weren't for you, most of them wouldn't have seen now a clear and physical picture of what it looks like to finish Crossroads or even to do the program. Thank you so much, Esther, for being with us here, just providing that clarity. And thank you to my colleague Faith for guiding us through this session. My name is also Faith. I work alongside Faith at Lapid Leaders Africa, and you'll be interacting with us quite a bit. And even as you send in your emails, confirming whether you'll be doing the program, just let's continue conversing with one another just for the clarity of this. And if there's nothing else, I'd like to pray and close the session for us. Dear Lord, we come before you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for blessing us, bringing us this far. having this informative session and just helping us to want to channel the leader within us. May you guide us throughout this day, and even as the applicants make a decision, Lord, may you guide them and may you bless them. And for each and every one of us, help us to have a good weekend and continue to love us and bless us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much, everyone.
Amen.
And yes,
Amen.
have a nice day.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Makofi kwetu.
It's being recorded too.